There we go. Perfect. This looks so different. This is so crazy. What's up, Hive? How are you doing? What's up, Zesty? What's up, Retsu? What's up, PR? How are you guys? Reg, Mesa, Retsu. Are y'all talking about Elden Ring prior to this? Doesn't this look so different? It's so different compared to like typically how it is, right? It's so odd. I feel so weird, and then I see myself here and I'm like, there's so much empty space, but I also kind of like the way that it looks. So I guess it kind of just will be what it is. But yeah, are we talking about Elden Ring? I played a little bit of Elden Ring this morning. So you found the winged staff, Retsu. I've been trying to get the great staff, but I can't get the drop, which is insane. I mean, I literally spent, I think, like an hour trying to get the great staff. And then whenever not the great staff, the great scythe. And then whenever it comes down to the wing scythe, I don't have enough faith to use it. So I'm trying to like build up my faith so I can kind of get there, but you got it too, PR. That's awesome. What do you think of it so far? Have you ever played any Souls game? See, I feel like the camera here needs to be lower so that you guys can see my face better, because I feel like you're at such an angle from how you see me, you know? Zesty found the mango worm. I like level 20 as a character. I don't think I found that one yet. I don't believe. I assume that has to be in Limgrave, right? I don't think I stumbled upon it yet. There's not that much empty space. Took you a couple of hours to get the gravesite too. I used all my chicken feet too though, and I still didn't get it. I just got the bone fragments. Wallace, what's up? How are you doing? DX, how are you? Yes, my day is going much better today. Much, much better. I'm in a much better mental space. I feel like I look so hunched over. It is what it is. Fando, what's up? How are you doing? Luke, how are you? Kuro, what's up? How are you guys doing? I still keep looking back at my screen just to see. It just looks so different to me, I guess. Everything looks so different. But it's not bad. It's just different. I don't know if you guys can hear Puddles, but she's like scratching at the door. You farmed it in an area just past Limgrave. Yeah, so you have to essentially get through the castle. And then like right whenever you get through the castle, there's like a graveyard that you can farm those 3 like skeleton guys. And they're the ones who are supposed to give you the staff if I'm not incorrect. But for whatever reason, it's been forever and I just can't seem to get it. But yeah, it's taking me forever. Also too, my neighbor is working on their dock. So if you keep hearing like a knock, 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 knock noise, that's just what's going on. Pack, what's up? How are you doing? No baggy shirt. No, and I feel like I wear leggings quite a bit as well too, but it's like you can never see them, I guess, on stream, you know? Jeffy, thank you so much for being a sub for 18 months. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The only issue is my eyes have been so irritable lately. It's like they just keep watering. My eyes are extremely delicate to begin with anyways, but I mean, they're just like really, really bad. Welcome to the stream. We're so happy to have you here. How are you doing? What's up, Martin? What's up, Snake? What's up, Skrill? Long time no see, Skrill. Where have you been? Where have you been hiding? I feel like I haven't really seen you much since like Valheim era. The Moonveil Katana. Yeah, I've definitely not fought him yet. I don't know where that is. I know I was running around in like the lake area and a giant dragon dropped down, but I haven't beat him yet. FBI, what's up? How are you doing? Do I know about laptops? Not too much. I'm probably not the one that you want to ask about that. I'm like okay with it, I guess, but not, I don't think that I should be the one to like answer questions that you have regarding laptops or any type of like technology type stuff.
But you have the most amazing teeth. Oh my goodness.
Teeth?
Antisera nosebleed.
Hi, thank you for the donation. Thank you, thank you. I still feel, yeah, like this webcam needs to come down more. It's at such an angle and you can't like see my face straight on. Like if I turn this way, you can see my face straight on.
So is it weird not having a game to focus on?
You know? But usually you see me kind of like this. You need to see me more like this. See what I mean? See my face more straight on. Pack, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. I mean, it's definitely weird, but I was excited to do a Just Chatting stream. At some point, I've been wanting to do this for a long time anyways. It's just gonna take a little bit, I feel like, to get it down to the way that I would prefer it to be, I guess. Heal, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. How are you doing? How are you doing? Skrill, I promise you'll see you a lot more often. Hard work paying off. Buying the company I managed this summer. What? That's insane. That's crazy. Panther, how are you doing? Cthulhu, what's up? Kevin, how are you doing? Lancer couldn't join because of exams. Yes. I will be going back to doing my TikToks. I'm finally like officially back, I guess, into social media. So I'll be back there. No worries. No worries. PR, how are you liking the chat popping from the right side? It's still on the left side for me. So I tried to put my chatting like from here. I tried it on my right-hand side. I've tried it on my other monitor, but it's just gonna take a while. It's just gonna take a bit till I get it how I want it to be. Cause like I said, you should be seeing me straight on. See, like this? You see how different it is compared to like this? I feel like it's just, I'm like looking up at people. You know what I mean? Like you guys are so high above me. I feel like it looks a little odd, but I'll figure it out, no worries. Oz, what's going on? How are you? How are you? It'll all mesh soon enough? Yes, we'll figure it out one way or the other. But at least you guys can say that you guys were here for like the first time that I figured it out. Or I at least made the screen like bigger, trying to see how to get the stuff down. I'll figure it out, it just takes me a while. It just takes me a while, that's all. Hellwriter, I missed you guys. I missed all of you guys so much. My tea is just like slightly too hot. It's just been a lot with family things and school
What did
and
the
so
doctor
forth.
say to the terminally ill Power Ranger? It's morphine time.
I saw somebody like cosplayed as a Power Ranger with like a walker, and he had like a big sign that said it's morphine time, which is pretty epic.
B, this is the angle we always see you toe and we are always stunned. D, this is perfect.
But then too, it's like cropped more so on my face though, you know? So you're not like just seeing this area that I'm in. You can see my face better. I made matcha, Kuro. So yeah, like for those of you guys who haven't been here in a while, so I had some losses in my family. And then secondly, it's like right around midterms time, which everything is going very well. Like I don't really have many complaints. My only issue is that in one of my classes, like the TA is taking forever to grade any of my assignments. And there's this one assignment that I need to do. Moscow, what's up? How are you doing? I feel like I need to adjust that a little bit too. Moscow, what is up? What is up?
I know how you like to have a game to focus on while chatting with us, so I've decided to do you a solid and set up a live feed of me milking my Polish bull for your eyes only.
Moscow, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Soul, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, yeah, so I ended up having like the situation where I was doing this assignment where basically every week I have to add on to this assignment. So it's kind of like being able to express yourself in a separate language or something like that. And so every week I have to go through and add more and more and more to it, okay? And so anyways, there's like, I wanna say 5 or 7 of these assignments that I'm supposed to do throughout the semester. But for whatever reason, the person that I've been assigned to for the TA is taking forever to do anything. So for the second assignment that I did, I
wish had a
Sin!
VCR so I can stop this very moment for the rest of my life.
You're so sweet, Sin. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So sweet. So sweet. What's up, gaming? How are you doing? What's up, Mark? What's up, 4? How are you guys? So
What courses are you taking beyond that French class? What's your next semester look like?
Pack, thank you for the bit. Thank you, thank you. I usually don't talk about what classes I'm in specifically until I'm done with the classes, so that people don't try to like either show up at my classes, or it's the same thing too, like with the assignments and stuff that I work on in the hospital. I don't talk about what hospital I've been at until I'm already gone. That way people aren't like waiting for me or something like that in the hospital, if that makes any sense. So I'll go into that a little more after the semester is over. Bull, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. It's more of like a, it's not that I don't want to talk about it, it's just like a safety issue, I guess. So yeah, I ended up finishing like the second assignment, and so I needed this grade to get back, you have to have like the rationale, like the things that you need to fix and stuff like that. So I got back my second assignment a day before the third assignment was due. So it's basically, I had to get the feedback from this one assignment. I had to alter everything and then add more stuff and then submit it in basically within 24 hours of receiving my feedback, which was a pain in the butt. And so anyways, the first time it happened, I was like, okay, I guess I can understand that things happen, especially now more so than ever. There's so many things that are going on in the world. So I understand that I'm not privy to everything. So I was kind of like, I understand, as long as you know, going forward, get my grade back.
That's smart, B. I've been looking through every class window, still can't find you, Antisera LUL.
PR, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ace, what's up? How are you doing? How are you? How are you? Crafting, what's up? How are you doing? So yeah, anyways, I got my second assignment back like within 24 hours of my third piece needing to be done. So anyways, I kind of talked to the PA and I was like, hey, I understand that things are going on and stuff like that, but the issue is that I don't feel like I have enough time to like give this class the attention that it needs, like if I'm getting something back within 24 hours of having to submit the next one. So anyways, he wasn't too happy with me, but I was also like, it's your job as well.
Make sure not to let people say it in chat, and also see you in class Monday.
Hi, thank you for the donation. Thank you, thank you. Bimo, what's up? Cthulhu, how are you doing? How are you? How are you? What's up, Maddie? What's up, Tadpole? How tall am I? 5'2". I used to be 5'3", I think, but I'm just shrinking, I guess, as time goes on. So anyways, I wasn't that irritated about it until I found out that other people were talking about, they were like, yeah, we're working on assignment 5, and I still have not even gotten back my assignment 3 that I submitted. It was within the 24 hours. So I was like, that's kind of unacceptable. Hellwriter, thank you so much for the 2 gifted subs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. So yeah, I wasn't that upset about it up until I figured out that I was like, all of you guys are submitting all this stuff that like, you're way further down the line than I am.
Just a part of being 84B.
That is true. Zesty. Thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. That's the truth. That is the truth. What's up, Hogan? What does the Advent Cajun do in this adding story? I mean, Cajun French. Cajun French is like so different. I love it though.
How does that delay impact your timeline to completing everything?
So what ended up happening, I guess, is I fussed about it so much that for the future students that are coming into this class, this entire assignment is going to be self-paced so that nobody ends up in the situation again. Because the teacher, like the professor had even asked me, they're like, you know, how is everything going? And I ended up coming back and like explaining this, and I was like, I do not have the time that I need to like dedicate to this. So anyway, she understood. It was good, but I still have to play my cards right, because for me applying for like grad school or just like even undergrad research at this point anyways, I don't ever want a teacher to reflect like poorly on me or my attitude. So it's a little rough. Knight, thank you so much for being a sub for 6 months. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing after another, I guess, but that's like the least of my concerns. It's just very irritating because I'm super, super protective of my grade, because there are some majors I would say that it's not as important to maintain a high GPA as other majors. And physics is very, 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 very competitive. So I kind of don't have a choice but to try to be, you know, like literally as best as I can be. Saka Z, what are you doing? How are you? How are you? Has anyone started invading? I had one person that invaded my game, which I killed, but was very irritating because I guess they use the thing that can make them look like cooperators, but in reality, they're like evil. That's what had happened to me. What's up, Royal? How are you? Wilmsy, how are you doing? Bold, what's up? How are you? Is that a pillow? It's funny too, you can see like my mic, you can see so much. So I'll probably maybe we'll crop it in a little bit so you can see my face a little better. And then we'll get the angle right with this whole webcam. Because I feel like you should see me like this.
How
It
do
just seems
people react
odd,
to you
right?
to be that strong personalities and to stand up for yourself? Given the fact you're just small and adorable, it's not expected.
Pack, thank you for the bits. Thank you. I mean, when it comes down to school and or work, when it comes down to it, I don't know, I feel like I always have a basis of like a protocol or something, like my rubric or my syllabus. Like I'll always cite back to the reference that I got something from. And so I feel like it's very difficult to even refute it, you know? Because like I'm citing something. I didn't just decide that like this is the way that things should be. It's like this is literally like in the syllabus, or this is literally protocol. So that's the way that it should be. You know what I mean? You can't really refute it. That's how I feel. I look 5'7". Do I really? See, I felt like too that I look pretty tiny in my chair. I feel like, you know, school or work, lost me at school. Either way, literally either way. But yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it's difficult because I've come in a lot of situations too with doctors that'll like say all kinds of crazy things. And at the end of the day, it's like, I never fear it because I know that I'm working under the notion of a proper algorithm or protocol. So at the end of the day, like they can yell all they want to, but I'm not fearful of the conversation because I have the facts to base it on. Does that make sense? Lancer, well, I guess you can see my face more now, right? So maybe I look cuter because you can see me better versus like a tiny little thing over there, I guess, usually. Oz, any traction with Dr. Mike? What do you mean by traction? What do you mean by that? Maybe I don't understand your question. Tripping, what's up? Protocol should be that you accept a date with you. We've missed you. Where have you been? Snake, you're so sweet. It's my hair that looks red, I guess. I don't know. Just depends on whatever color I change the headset to. It reflects well, I guess, because my hair is relatively dark. It's all about logic. Yeah, and so that's the thing. There's a huge issue where I feel like nurses versus doctors, like they headbutt quite a bit. And at the end of the day, it just, to me, as long as, and I tell this to my students and my new grads and everything as well, that as long as you have a basis and a rationale for what you're doing, and it is the proper rationale, not just something that you feel, you should be able to stand your ground. Because to me, like that's always made me feel better. It's where it's like, if I'm gonna go up against somebody who's like considered like my boss, like the doctor is, like the attending, then if that's the case, I have to have something to fall back on to say, this is why I'm doing this. Like this is my rationale for this action, or why I did this for my patient or something like that. I never want to just be like, well, I don't know why I did that. I mean, I have to have something to back my rationale, you know? That's so sweet, Divine. Thank you.
So the other day I sent a picture of my face to you on Insta, but I know you won't see it. 'Cause you probably get a ton that, and my username is different on that.
It is pretty hard for me to find DMs. That is very, very true, Wallace. Thank you for the bits. It can be very difficult for me to find things on Instagram. It sounds like a challenge to me. Hi, are doctors your boss, or just because you acted a doctor? They are typically your boss. But the thing is too, is that we all have things, it's kind of like a check and balances system, because the doctor can order something. Leah, welcome to the stream. We're so happy to have you here. So you can have like a doctor order something, but if you see it as a nurse, like, and I've done this many times where I'm like, that is not safe for this patient, or they'll order like all these fluids for my heart failure patient, and I'm like, my patient cannot tolerate that rate and that amount of fluid, so therefore I'm not gonna do it. So it's like a check and balances, but yes, if you get in trouble with a doctor, it can definitely look very bad on you. So if, you know, you get called in, you know, or like reported or something like that by a doctor, it can definitely be a big deal. So once again, that's another thing, like with anything, just be able to cite why you did what you did.
But in a lot of instances in work or school, you're dealing with emotions or egos. Or organizational politics. Is it difficult to cut through the BS? Oh, it is, and you have a curious mind.
Wallace, thank you for the bits. Thank you. have you been? We haven't seen you in forever. When you say, like, dealing with emotions, egos, it's all of those things. So one, you have the ego, and then two, let's say, for instance, like I work trauma, like level 1 trauma. So I work the gunshots, the stabbings, that kind of stuff. So it's a very, very high stress scenario. And like time is literally of the essence because someone is bleeding out, right? So you have to have your act together. And so whenever you have somebody, especially too, like with new residents and stuff, they'll panic, but they'll also have this sense of like ego, like I know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna listen to anybody. But in reality, you can see, or at least the more and more you're exposed to it, you'll start to realize that these people are scared and they don't actually know what they're talking about and or doing. And so, I mean, it's both. It's like the ego is high, and then also too, you have a high emotion. Like you just have a recipe for disaster if you're not capable of like keeping that within yourself and like regulating your emotions and your feelings. Because that's a big thing too, that my thing as like being a leader is I never want to panic, because as soon as I panic, that could react poorly on my patient because I'm not making the proper decisions of sound mind. Which is another thing too, is why they say that you can't work on family members and stuff like that, because your judgment is going to be blurred. Hi, what do they mean when they say nurses are advocates? So nurses basically are the ones who you build a rapport with, right? They're the ones that actually execute the orders.
I'll happily show you my face when we play D&D. And yes, I will forever grasp to that possibility.
Sesty, thank you for the bits. Thank you. Good old D&D. So whenever they say that, it's the nurse is the big one who's supposed to be like in your corner, and they're supposed to fight for you. And if something like if the doctor comes in and explains something and then just leaves, like the nurse is the one that says like you have to come back in here because they didn't fully understand what you're saying, or they don't understand the risks of this procedure they're about to undergo. So we have this thing in medicine called like informed consent, which is something that we need to explain to you and make sure that you understand what you're about to do and the risks about the situation of whatever procedure you're having. And so in that sense, the nurse is supposed to be the one who's in your corner, who will go up to bat for you up against the doctor if need be. But once again, that's the whole thing about like the check and balances, where the doctor can order whatever they want to order, but it doesn't mean that the nurses are going to execute it. Because if I don't think
non-critical
it's
type
healthy,
of situations, like your boss nurse, I don't know what they're called, giving you bad shifts or tasks because you caused issues or questioned them during a case. Are there negative consequences for your strong
My way out, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. Let me see here. Let me read this again. My eyes. A non-critical type of situation, like your boss nurse, like a nurse manager, or a charge nurse, giving you bad shifts or tasks because you caused issues or questioned them during the case. I've seen that happen to many people before, not me personally, but I have seen people who are some nurses, for instance, will say, I only want to work in trauma. So if you're not going to put me like in the level 1 trauma, like the shock rooms, like the high tier, then I'm just going to leave, or I'm going to go to another hospital or something like that. And usually what'll happen is that's like the first line of like whenever you get yourself in trouble, they'll take you away from your favorite assignment. Because if you enjoy working like emergency psych, or you enjoy working trauma or something like that, they're more than likely going to try to put the best candidate for that situation. But the more that you fuss, I have certainly seen people being taken from like trauma and then put into like emergency psych, which is what they hate. But I mean, I guess at that situation, I've never been in one like that, but I would certainly bring it up. And at the end of the day too, I'd kind of be like, even if you don't personally like me, I'm still the best option for the patient.
Trauma. Save me.
Tripping, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you. Yeah, but if that makes any sense, I guess. Because you can dislike me all that you want, but whenever it comes down to like, if you would never put me in trauma when that is literally my specialty and that is literally like my certifications and so forth, and you're putting me in some random place, I would definitely question why. Because like I went through the additional education so that I could provide better care for my patients. So if you're not gonna put the best nurse capable for the situation, that is like negligence in my eyes towards the patient, because they're not the best option. If that means anything.
When you
I don't know if I
enjoy,
explained that well.
Can you elaborate? Do you enjoy it, or is it what you feel you're best at?
I love trauma. I certainly love trauma. And that was another thing too, is that it was very interesting once we began this whole like COVID pandemic, because when I was working at like COVID units and so forth, what's up Chan, what's up Lily, how are you guys doing? How are you? So usually when people, there's a big misunderstanding when it comes down to how nurses function and depending on their specialty. So what'll happen is that somebody will say like ER nurse, and then it's just like this blanket statement, when in reality, it isn't that simple, because there's like medical emergency and then there's like a trauma emergency. So there are people who have like what we call like DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. There are different things, or like a severe COPD exacerbation or like a heart attack or something like that. Those would be considered medical. And then whenever you come down to somebody like me, I deal with the gunshots, the stabbings, the car accidents, like the mechanical traumas that you left the house today not really expecting to undergo. This is not some constant disease process that you've been dealing with. So personally, my specialty is in trauma. So once the COVID pandemic began, I started treating more medical patients, which is something that I hadn't done in a while. And between the two, I just enjoy trauma. I enjoy the adrenaline rush of it. I enjoy the chaos of it all. And it's something that I'm good at, personally. But it's just like a different strain of them all, I guess. It takes a really long time for you to find what specialty suits you best. Even still, though, now, I guess I'm going into research anyways. So like if Wallace
came in with his embarrassing rash, you wouldn't be the one to deal with it? JK.
It depends on where I'm at, first off. And Pac, thank you for the bits, because if I go to like these tiny little ERs, Deluxe, welcome to the stream. We're so happy to have you here. If I'm in the middle of nowhere, that it's not like a level 1 trauma center, I'll be dealing with anything. So I'll be dealing with like people who come in saying like, I stubbed my toe, and then they come to the emergency room, or you could have like a GI bleed, or someone could be having a heart attack, or somebody could be having a stroke. It's just like a giant mix of things. When you're in major cities, let's say like New York, Houston, you know, these major places, they'll have major trauma centers, and that's what they're for. So the firemen will know that basically, based on your condition, you are more suited to like a specific type of hospital. Like if you were in a severe car accident, they're gonna take you to the trauma center, because that's the best chances that you have of survival, the best outcome. But yeah, if I'm in the middle of nowhere, like when I was in New Mexico, I was in this tiny like little area, I dealt with anything. Because at that point, anytime that there was something that was a trauma, I was one of the trauma nurses to deal with it. So I'd have to take the trauma because I was the only one that was capable of handling those, but then also have my fair share of the abdominal pains and so forth.
I found a bruised dead mouse at the back door with a Happy Valentine's tag on it, thinking face.
Kuro, thank you for the bits. Thank you. I don't know where she is right now, in all honesty. Who knows? Yeah, but if that makes any sense, because I know it's very difficult, because a lot of times too, people will see like nurse and they'll use like nurse as like a blanket statement. But there's like clinic nurses, there's floor nurses, which is considered like med surge, and everybody has their own role. So it's like if you were to take me and to throw me into OB, right? Like the babies, I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable about those types of patients as OB nurses are. Now, that's not to say on an emergent situation, like I have delivered many babies, like in the backseat of a car, in a parking garage, people just pull up and then just in active labor.
When you get a contract like in LA, you may have multiple hospitals in the system and they allocate you to the one that has the major trauma unit? Is that part of your decision-making process in choosing a contract?
They can do that. So like when I was in Los Angeles, I worked for like the overarching company that could send me anywhere. But that is also explained before I accept the contract, that they say basically these are the locations that we're gonna send you to, so that whenever I get like my housing for this contract, I know that like I'm not driving 2 hours off. So I'm in this region that they're capable of sending me to. But usually, like let's say if you have like a Kaiser, like Kaiser Permanente, which is a huge system, Kaiser could say, hey, we're gonna be able to send you to like these 3 different options in this like triangle, and we'll let you know beforehand which one we need you to be at, compared to you might have this tiny itty bitty baby Kaiser somewhere, And they said, like, you're specifically going to be stationed here because there's such a lack of nurses that they must have a certain amount of nurses per their patient pool. Otherwise, that's considered an internal disaster where we do not have enough staff to adequately handle our patient population. But all that stuff is supposed to be explained to you before you accept a contract. So before a contract, you know exactly how much you're paid, you know how much your like on-call pay is, all of that.
Personal question. If your BF had to choose between you and the newborn in that situation, and they choose you, how would you feel about that? Off topic, sort of.
Crow, that's actually a really good question. That's a really good question.
When you were helping deliver those babies, were you an EMT at the time?
No. I've done it as an EMT, but the majority of the ones I've done have been as an
What's your message
RN.
on going to the ER? Cause there was a big push to normalize going to the ER, but I feel that it would be abused and people will go for anything.
Nemo, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Thank you. So first off, Kuro, I've seen this actually happen many times, which is very, very sad. It's very, very difficult time for like the patient themselves, as well as like their significant other. And I mean, I think that's something where typically we will try to save both. However, if it comes down to a situation like that, more than likely we will attempt to save the life of the mother in situations like that. That's typically the way that it goes. I feel like if I was personally in that situation as well, I mean, once again, like I don't have children, but I would understand that choice. But I also would hope that prior to that situation, there's some form of discussion prior to that, because I've seen that stuff happen as well. And of course you want to do everything possible to save the unborn child, but at that point too, the mother is considered our patient, and we will do everything possible to save the mother's life under those circumstances. Yeah, PRs about the babies. The majority of babies that I have delivered have been as an RN, and typically those types of things are called like imminent births, where it's like literally I have a patient who is like shows up in like active labor, let's say in like a parking garage. And so as soon as I get there, so we have like what's called like rapid responses, which I'm usually part of rapid response team. So I have like a massive pack that is like bigger than me, and it has all of my drugs and my medications and everything in there, or like baby bunting or something like that, if I have to get myself into a situation where I have no choice but to deliver the child. And so in those types of situations, usually what will happen is I will have a patient who's in like active labor. Typically these people have had babies multiple times before, so it's like that baby comes out like nothing. But as soon as I go to see like how far dilated the woman is, and I can feel the head, and I know that this is gonna be an imminent birth, kind of have no choice but to deliver the baby to the best of my ability at the time, you know? Because once the baby hits the pelvic inlet, so like the woman's pelvis is kind of like this, once the baby begins to lodge there and is going to be delivered. That is, yes. Sent it to me. Isn't it so cool? I'm gonna hang it up here. It's just, I'm still getting the hang of everything, but yes. Chan, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I really appreciate you.
Did you get PTSD? I know a friend who experienced that over a stab case. The doc had to order a large amount of blood bags cause they knew that person wasn't going to survive, but they did everything they...
Sin, thank you so much for the bit. I personally have never experienced PTSD from something like that.
How many all-night shrines do you have? Antisera tee.
My house is literally a shrine to All Might, literally. But when it comes down to it, there's different people who handle stressful situations like in different ways. So let's say, for instance, I had a new nurse, and I've said this story like quite a few times, and we had lost a teenager, which is always a very difficult thing to handle. But that being said too, I had taken her out to like the ambulance bay where like all of the ambulances come and bring their patients. And so we were sitting out there, and she's crying because I didn't want her to be seen like crying in front of the entire unit, in front of her patients and so forth. And she's crying. And so like as these ambulances are pulling up, it's like I had tried to express to her as much as possible that you have to understand that you're doing everything possible for that patient at the moment. And then now too, like this ambulance that's pulling up, that's somebody's father, son, you know, husband. We don't really have the ability to sit there and to grieve things in that way, because there's other people that need us too. And it's a very difficult thing for you to learn as a new nurse. And then some people are more emotional to that type of stuff than others, because to me, it's like I keep my emotions in check because I need to make the proper decisions, like in the heat of all this chaos, right? And so if you have somebody who is like really, really emotional and is like crying, once again, that's gonna cloud your judgment, and you have to do what's best for your patient. And until the situation comes where I feel like, I've been many places where I've been like at restaurants and stuff like that in the vicinity of the hospitals that I've worked at. And one of the best feelings I feel like in the world is one thing that affected me the most. It was like a man who was probably in his, let's say, mid-50s. And he came up to me and he was surrounded by his family. And he had asked, he was tearing up, and he had asked if he could shake my hand. And because that makes all of the stress worth it, right? It makes all of the years of college that you've like dedicated your life to worth it, for you to be able to see this man having lunch with his family. Like, you gave him that.
Hey there, Bianca.
Sando, thank you so much for being a sub for 11 months. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you have to understand, like, it depends on the type of mindset that you have, right? Because you could sit there and be a pessimist and just be like, I just keep screwing up, and all my patients, like, for whatever reason, like, they're just not, you know, something bad is happening, because there's some patients that there's nothing that we can do but make them comfortable. And you have to understand that mindset between the two. But to me, it's like, I think to myself, every patient I give it my all and everything that I can. And it's for situations like that where I can see my work pay off. And you know, that man went off to like be a grandfather and stuff like that. And he would never have been able to know his grandchild had I not struggled and had I not gone to nursing school or something like that, you know? So it's just the way that you want to see it, because I feel like the entire world can be that way. You can sit there and be pessimistic about many things of the world, but then you can also turn and see the silver lining in it, right? Because some things are beyond your control.
So it's your positive outlook that you have in general. You focus on the good, and the good results versus the negative. Just like you do in everything else in life, it's all about positivity.
I agree. I mean, I always think you should look for the silver lining in something.
And the Best Nurse Ever award goes to Bianca Antisera. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Insanity, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's easy, I would say, to be like, to not stand back up and to like let the world just roll over you. But there's so much beauty in being strong enough to know that you're better than that and that you're stronger than that. And to me, it's just like, if somebody else has done it, then that means that I'm just as capable of doing this as well. So it's like I say, like, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, but if I have to, I can Goku out when I need to. You know what I mean? I got a lot of heart. And I feel like that's the most important thing when it comes to anything high stress. Because even if it's not trauma, let's say if you're looking at like the physics side of it and you're like dealing with accelerators and stuff like that, I mean, you have to have your act together. But at the end of the day, like, you should always be calm. You should always think about what you say. You should never be rash, because, I mean, you always want to make sure that the options that you're making in your life are going to give you the best chances of success. You know? Bold. True, but when tragedy is placed in front of you, how you'll act, you'll seem to have that special quality.
So when you jokingly say you're one of the heartless, it's actually the exact opposite. I knew all along. Depends, I guess, right? I don't know. PR, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. DJ, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. I don't know. I mean, I think it's more so like people tend to be inclined towards like light or darkness. And I don't know. I feel like I'm more so in between, you know, in my eyes. Like if we're going to do like D&D alignments, I feel like I'm more so of like a true neutral type person. B has the biggest heart I've ever seen. Cares so much. Never afraid of a challenge and always willing to help. Chipping. Tony Robbins. I met Tony Robbins a few times, actually. He's so B, you tall. Really are the world's #1 hero. Zesty, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you.
DC, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, DC, for the 1,000 bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My eyes are so sensitive.
Just like you said about an argument with a significant other yesterday. You focus on the positive, and will always listen. Have you ever had a situation where the person was like 99% about to die, but then nothing short of a miracle and they survived?
Many times. I'll answer yours first, Pack. So whenever it comes down to like arguments and so forth, I feel like what people often forget is we're all human and we're all flawed. And so I am fully expecting people to make mistakes at certain points in their lives, and that's understandable as well. And so, I mean, somebody could do something terrible. Like, you could be in a relationship with somebody, and then, like, they go off and they cheat or something like that, and they just completely break your trust. And so, to me, I'm gonna say that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay in the relationship, but you also have to understand, in my mind, that there's a reason why this individual did this. Like, they thought that this one person maybe had some piece to this puzzle that they're looking for. And now I'm not saying that any of this stuff is right, but I'm just saying that through my experience of working in medicine and like working trauma and working emergency psych and so forth, that there's a reason why these things happen. And now, once again, like, I think trust is everything. So if you break my trust, that's very, very difficult to recover from. However, I can also understand why these things happen. And then once again, I don't feel like there's anything that somebody could not tell me that I would not sit down and calmly try to understand this with them about.
Bianca, can I say for first time doing a chatting stream, you mastered it already.
My hair is
You are
all
beyond
crazy.
unique and are our true hero. You are like a fine wine that gets better with age. Toast
You're
to
so
you. Thank you,
sweet.
Sifu.
DX, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nick, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Wallace, have you ever had a situation where a person was like 99% about to die and then nothing short of a miracle and they survived? Yes, so that's one of the things too, is I always say, like, medicine can make you feel like a god and then helpless. Like, it is two sides of the same coin. Core, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. They're two sides of the same coin. Like, what I mean by that is it is a very, very humbling profession. And this is something that I try to instill the most in like residents and then also like new nurses as well, because sometimes you can do literally everything right. And for some reason, they will not survive. Like, nothing takes. They don't respond to anything that you're doing. And then you also have people that on textbook, there's no way this person should be able to
You
survive.
bossing the chatting miss, and your hair looks anatomically normal, lol.
But yeah, you'll have people that just should not make it, and yet sometimes they do. So there's things that still happen that are like beyond our control. But that's one of the things, is that a lot of doctors too that I've seen, they're like, you know, I'm the best, I'm everything. And it's like, you can feel that way, but you will get knocked off your pedestal, because none of us have all the answers. None of us. We all try our best. We do what's best scientifically. We try to follow our algorithms and our protocols, but that does not mean that the patient is going to respond. Because that's the crazy thing about medicine, is that so often people will say, like, tell me what to do, or, you know, medicine is not black and white. It is a pure grayscale.
You know that's a JK. Your hair is hot, hot, hot.
Kuro, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No worries, no worries. Yeah, so whenever it comes down to it, it's all a grayscale. There, at the end of the day, like, medicine should be there to educate you based on the choices that are available to you, and then you understand the risks and the pros. And past that, it's like, some people think that they have all of the answers. Like, let's say if you have like an alcoholic that keeps coming back to the hospital, it's easy for people in medicine to just be like, they're never gonna get their life right. Like, they just keep doing the same things. Like, why do I even bother? But it's like, we do not know the history of this guy and then why he chooses to make these decisions. You know, that's a human life, just like anyone else in the ER is. We still need to do our best for the patient and try to educate them and try to get them innately to make the best choices for themselves. But so often people will count others off, and it's like, you don't have all the information. Always operate under the notion that you do not have all of the information. Even if you're there, even if you see it, straight on with your own eyes, you still do not have all of the pieces. So never operate under the notion that you do. Exactly, Bandit. That is why it's called a practice. Very true. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation, like, all around. Medicine has become so chaotic.
Why do you say you're a neutral? Being real, I'd say you're the very definition of a lawful good. Curious on why you see yourself that way?
I'm definitely not a lawful good. Definitely not.
Bea
But I
has her
appreciate
angel
it.
side, but also has her demon side. Antisera, plotting Antisera mischief. I love it. Just like an Athalum Antisera smug, I'm neutral as well.
Sin, Pack, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you. I feel like my headset is like slipping off a little. So this is one of the things, is that I feel like, I guess the mentality of, I'm like, how can I express this the best? Is that, like, you know how you can't have sweet without sour, right? And you can have black and white, and they balance each other. And something can be a necessary evil, but it is still evil. But it doesn't mean that it's not necessary. So all these things need to happen in order to keep balance in the world, in my opinion. And so, like, you can say something like, let's say if you're gonna create like an atom bomb, you can do that for science, which goes on to like fuel, like that technology and so forth can do so much for humanity. But you can also take this and you can bomb places and kill innocent civilians, right? So to me, I feel like the best way to be is to kind of be neutral in the sense of that, because like whenever it comes down to research and so forth, it's like somebody could take something that I'm researching on and then go and do something terrible about it. But the thing is that it's just between the two, we must constantly have, you know, balance in the world. If that means anything, I don't know if I
just gonna
expressed that
throw
well.
it out there that she's a stone's throw from Psycho Killer after that animal corpse talk. We're just lucky she's small and can't throw that stone far enough.
Zesty, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Killa, I will be back. My glasses are fogging up. I'll be back on TikTok soon. This is like my first like back. I'm back here. Back March. No worries. I already have one that I did. I just haven't posted it yet. Harley, how are you doing?
Exactly. You can't be on one side cause it unbalances everything. Well, at least for me it does. So you need to have balance in your life.
Yes. The world, I believe, needs balance.
Bea, how do you keep it cool at work after a bad day? Just hold it in till you get home? I struggle with this in my job, but I know your job is much more stressful on a regular basis.
Let me see.
White gold or rose gold, and why no jewelry? Are nurses not allowed to wear jewelry? Do you have any piercings? Hugh, hugh, hugh.
Insanity, thank you for the bits. Hi, thank you for the donation. Ind, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. Pack, thank you for the bits. Kuro, thank you for the bits. I'll go through those here in a second. Let me scroll through. If it wants to play. If not, I'll have to read it. Maybe?
That's the
Image,
world,
what's
though.
up?
For you have a strict morality. You don't believe in moral relativity, like it's reflected in your thoughts on hookup culture. Good versus bad.
But who's to say what is good and what is bad, right?
So if you had an idea
Society?
that after you followed it to conclusion could see the negative uses, would you still bring it to fruition or vault it?
Machi, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. Grizzin, welcome to the stream. We're so happy to have you here. Insanity, how do you keep your cool at work after a bad day? I feel like I'm very good at letting go and
What's
not
this?
letting it
Big
bother
B
me.
Stream? What did I miss?
Hater! Hater, what's up? How are you doing? Let me let this play real quick, if it wants to. It skipped you, PR.
This fantasy book called Villains by Necessity talks about balance of the world. You need good and evil. Bea
Right.
and Wallace, war and peace, love and hate. We can't know one
Yes.
without experiencing the other.
Exactly, like I was saying, like a necessary evil is still evil, but it is still necessary within the world. Okay, Insanity, back to what you were saying. I think you have to be able to separate the two, right? Because you can't function at like a high stress level constantly. you're just gonna destroy yourself. So you have to be able to get down to the point to where you can like wipe your hands of it and just be like, I did everything that I could. And I mean, you're gonna cause harm to other people as well if you're not capable of like decompressing and like walking away from something and then enjoying your life. You know, you're just gonna end up suffering in that sense. So I feel like I've always been good with separating myself from work versus like my home life. But however, too, I feel like I've kind of always lived in like a high stress situation. So I kind of learned that when I was younger. But I mean, I think it's definitely a skill that most people need. Like whenever you're done with it, you're done. Like wipe your hands of it. Now, of course, there's other types of situations where like work follows you home and so forth. But I mean, I feel like that's a different situation or a different story. Okay, wait. Hive rose gold, I feel like is the coolest look. Our nurse is not allowed to wear jewelry. You can wear them. There's just certain types of regulations about it. Do I have any piercings? My ears are pierced, but that's it. Let's see. Pack, that's the world though. For you to have strict morality, you don't believe in moral relativity. It's reflected on your thoughts and hookup culture, good versus bad. Yeah, I mean, see, that's just the issue too that I struggle with quite often, like scientifically, I guess, as much as possible, because who's to really say something is good versus evil, right? Because this is the whole thing that I'm saying as well, even like with the necessary evil situation. If it's necessary evil, it is necessary, though we also constitute it as evil. It's the same thing with like black and white, but I also believe that everything in the universe, everything, even on a scientific level, balances out in some way to maintain a relative sense of homeostasis. You know what I mean? So though we may not like evil, who's to really say that evil is bad if it still promotes life in a sense, right? Like I don't want innocent animals to die, but they must also feed other animals for part of our food chain. So it just depends too on like defining your terms almost, I would say, like if you're writing a research article, it's difficult to encompass that, right? Because that's a very curious thought process and a very difficult thing to explain. But yeah, if I had to put myself down as like a D&D alignment, I would say I'm more of a true neutral, personally. I don't wish any ill on people. I'm also like not after getting people, but I do think that there's a place in everything in the world. And I feel like usually I prefer to allow it to do its due course versus actually having an intervention on my part of it. Who else did I miss? Let's see. Kuros, if you had an idea that after it followed it to conclusion, you could see the negative uses, would you still bring it to fruition or vault it? I would bring it to fruition. Now, the reason I say this is, like, for one, I've played many roles, I guess, in research and so forth, but that being said, I feel like anything can kind of be used for good or to be used for evil, shall we say, right? Like, let's say blood pressure medication. If you're creating a blood pressure medication, if you don't know what you're doing, you could easily kill somebody by bottoming out their blood pressure. But also, too, this medication is going to go on to save many lives. So there's always the capability of someone taking some type of research and then using it in a bad way.
Are you saying you're not allowed to wear the earrings I got you at work? I'm talking about the ones made from spent fuel rods. By the way, have you noticed any hair loss, nausea, bleeding gums, etc.?
Let me try to catch up on.
So you take a scientific approach to even your worldview. Balance, like a law of conservation of energy or mass.
Yes.
So do you believe in karma? A force that creates balance?
Let's see. PR, so when you post that TikTok, can you DM me and let me know? I got in trouble at work for constantly refreshing your page. Looking pretty. That's adorable. PR. Wallace. Villains by necessity talks about the balance of the world. You need good, evil. Exactly. Yes. 100% agree. Mosque. It should just be like a radioactive or something like that.
Taking out a dictator is a good thing. 'Cause you might save people. But you still killed a person, which might be for the greater good, but it's evil to kill that one person.
We're getting into
Chaotic neutral is my
here.
D&D alignment.
Okay. Pax, you take a scientific approach even to your worldview. Yes, most definitely.
Yo is B listening to lo-fi, chill out music, Antisera nosebleed.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can really hear it much, but hopefully it's loud enough for you guys to hear. So yes, my worldview is very scientific in the things that I look at. I mean, it's the same thing too. It's just like I'm saying that, like, let's say that you care about somebody and then they cheat on you. that obviously is a hurtful situation, but then also to like seeing it from a scientific view, or at least from like a psychology standpoint, I can understand, or I at least would like to help them understand why they did what they did. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna forgive them, because they've already destroyed my trust. And once again, like I said, trust is everything. But that's what I mean too about I will always hear you out, even if we have completely different worldviews.
You want to be the big spoon or the little spoon? Seriously though, how you been, girl?
Jimbo, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Do I believe in karma? No, not inherently so do I believe in karma. But I feel like when you're doing things that are helpful for others, you know, people are tend to be kinder to you and will tend to like act positively towards you. So I can see of like a semblance of what we consider karma, but I don't believe there's some invisible force that is like weighing good versus evil, like you have some type of alignment in a video game. I feel like if you act kind towards people, people tend to be nicer to you. You know, if you're smiling, people might tend to approach you easier compared to like if you're constantly scowling. Well, as taking out a dictator is a good thing because you might save people, but you still killed a person, which might be for the greater good, but it's evil to kill that one person. Chaotic neutral. Yeah, I mean, see, that's a very interesting
I have a serious question for once. What is your opinion on Dr. Mike's father, a Soviet-trained physician having to go back to medical school when he arrived here in order to practice in the United States? So if someone cheated on you then used a scientific reason like men are designed to propagate the species and spread his DNA, that'd be a good argument for you?
No, it wouldn't be a good argument, but I'll go into that here in a second. Menace, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Moscow. So this is kind of like an interesting situation too to begin with, okay? Now my family is not from America. So my family had to immigrate here and it takes a very long process and stuff like that for anything to be translated over. That being said, like let's say for instance, my uncle had a very high degree in Argentina. However, whenever he tried to come over to America, that degree was like no longer valid. So there's things that he had to do to try to equate down to like the American system of doing things. Now, that is very irritable. And there's many people too that I've seen like in the hospital that are like doctors in their countries and then they come to America and then they're like a nurse assistant or something like that. I understand that it's irritating, but however, I believe that we have to maintain equality because we are a major health superpower, like beyond anybody's capabilities. So that being said, when it comes down to the standard, if you're gonna immigrate to that country, I feel like you need to assimilate to whatever their level of functioning is. Now, if you can't debate why you believe you should be able to have your license or what have you, but as far as I can say, I understand that it's difficult and I understand that my family is also not from America and my family has had to do this as well. And as annoying as it is, I do believe in it for the better good because we all have to have standards and meet our certain standards. Different countries have completely different standards for things, you know? So it's unfortunate, don't get me wrong. But also too, I mean, it's just one of those issues. Pandan, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Atma, welcome to the stream. We're so happy to have you here. How are you doing? Pat, so if someone cheated on you and then used a scientific reason like most men are designed to propagate the species and spread its DNA, that'd be a good argument for you. So people can have whatever argument they want to have, right? Like somebody could say that the sky is red when you see it as blue or whatever. You can hear somebody's argument. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree with them. But it's just like I was saying, like whenever it comes down to people cheating and so forth, or at least this is something that I spend a lot of time in psychology going over, is that typically people need something, right? You know how we were talking about like the five, like your love languages or whatever? There are some people who just need affection and they need a pat on the back and say like, I love you so much. Like you are so amazing.
Do you think
and that's enough for them?
Scientific reasoning that people use for infidelity is a cop-out as we claim to be the most superior species on the planet?
Kuro, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you.
B, are you into taxidermy? I have the last trophy from the buck I got 4 years ago and I let nature do its thing to the skull.
I love
Hope
taxidermy.
That's not too much. I grew up on a farm. So yeah,
I love it.
Yay.
And Sin, thank you for the bits. Let's see.
So you don't think everything happens for a reason then? Like me laughing at someone who died in a trial early on, then me getting smacked on for laughing at that person, lol.
Okay, so yeah, back to like the cheating argument. Typically I feel like people that do those types of things, they're missing something within them that they're trying to get from somebody else. Because like the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
I would never cheat. I don't speak in absolutes. But this is a thing that breaks my rules in life. I would rather burn in fire than cheat.
Wallace, thank you for the bits. Thank you. So yeah, usually what ends up happening is like the grass is greener on the other side. So it's like they may be with somebody who, I mean, relationships take a lot of work, right? So let's say that this person is like, you have to put all this work and you're irritated at somebody, and then they find somebody that they think at that moment is going to give them like a piece of what they're missing, only to do it and to find out that that was not what they needed, right? And they should have remorse for what they've done because they violated trust as well. But that being said, I can understand why it happens. Am I going to say that it's right? No. But whenever it comes down to somebody having an argument, you can explain. Like I often will say, like, I don't want an excuse, but you can give an explanation. Because at the end of the day, it's like if you're in a relationship or something like that, you're kind of like on trial at that point on if they're going to forgive you or not. Because you've definitely violated something that you should not have violated unless you guys are in that type of relationship or something like that. But yeah, somebody can always have a different argument. You should still be able to hear them out, even if you don't agree with them, personally. Okay. Let's see. Infidelity is a cop-out, was claimed.
You don't cheat on B because she knows how to skin, bleach your bones, and keep your pieces in formaldehyde in a room of oddities. The woman is Latin.
Fuck. Thank you for the bits. Kuro, see, that's kind of like a double-edged sword if I think about it though, because if we say that we claim to be the most superior species on the planet, which we are, I mean, if you think about it like objectively. However, the thing is too, is that we are also the only people who, like the only animal in the world, or anything for that matter, that seeks fulfillment. So it's like, you can have millions of dollars but then just be like super unhappy, or you can have somebody who is like just has a modest income but has like feels loved and feels accepted and feels like they make an impact into the world. So we're all looking for this fulfillment of like, we're all chasing our own like northern star somewhere, and we're all fighting for it. So I feel like that's one of the things too, is that infidelity can play a role if that's something that you're trying to get a hold of, you know what I mean? So it's both, like our consciousness and our cognition can benefit us as well as harm us, because we're also conscious that we're dying, you know? So it's like every day we're getting closer and closer to death, you know? So it's both, I would say. Eric, yes, very into taxidermy. I love taxidermy. Sin, you don't think everything happens for a reason then? Like me laughing at somebody who died in an early trial. I mean, see, that's kind of difficult to explain, because when I say that certain things happen for a reason, I can't necessarily say that it doesn't.
Hey, honey, how are you? Heart. I've been missing you so much. Heart.
My way, thank you so much for being a sub for 19 months. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you.
What was your biggest struggle during high school socially? Cause I can't imagine you were unpopular. You're the taken to prom 6 times kinda girl. I would love to know high school B.
Hi, thank you so much for the donation. I would say my biggest issue on all of the schools is that I went to a different school like every year of my life, so I never had like childhood friends or somebody that like I grew up with. I was always in a new place every year.
He might be a serial killer, but what are the chances that both of us are? My kinda crazy.
Wallace, thank you for the bits. Thank you. I'm just a little odd, you know, but I'm not like a scary odd. I'm just a little different, just a little. But yeah, I went to a different school every year of my life ever since childhood. So I never had somebody that I grew up with, or, you know, like to have some like best friend that you can confide in. I never had any of that.
Would you say that TV and media influence people, or people influence TV and media?
I think they both kind of like influence each other. Because media definitely is like influencing this entire generation, just like it did in previous generations too, but now we're like more so in the mix.
And why is that, if you don't mind me asking, the school thing?
So yeah, I think that they all, you know, basically go in together.
So you believe in a Maslow hierarchy of needs, and so that person who cheats on you is missing something in their pyramid. Which is one reason why you look at potential partners carefully to see if there's a precursor to issues.
Kuro, I wish I could go into that a little more, but it was just mostly family issue dynamics and crazy childhood or so forth, but there were things that were beyond my control, essentially, about why that was the case. Pack, yeah, there's definitely like a hierarchy of needs, like Maslow's specific hierarchy of needs. Because if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, if you don't have shelter and so forth, you will do whatever you can to like get these things, right? And so you're not gonna have these like, oh, am I fulfilled? Or these like all encompassing questions if you're still like, if you're dying of hunger. So, I mean, eventually you're gonna have to climb up, you know, the ladder and so forth. But whenever it comes down to like that part being a hierarchy of needs, I mean, they've definitely hit that pyramid.
What is your number one dream besides our date?
But yeah, whenever it comes down to like potential partners and stuff like that, I mean, I feel like that's the whole reason why you should have like a courting phase, because you might find somebody attractive, but it doesn't mean that they can relate to you and or see you in the way that you need to be seen, right? So it's like somebody may be attractive, but it doesn't mean that they are going to be attractive to you or that you guys are compatible or can mesh at all. I feel like you should take time to get to know somebody before, you know, stuff like that. I think that's very important to understand somebody's character and like what drives this person. And if you guys are like going on two different directions or you guys are like going to the same direction. Chipping, thank you for the bits. Thank you.
With your rise to fame in the social media area, do you ever try to dispel wild rumors of yourself that you come across? Or how do you handle that dirty side of social media?
Tripping, what do I want out of life? That's very difficult.
Do you expect a guy to hold the door open for you? And should they, in this day and age? Is chivalry truly dead?
Hi, thank you for the donation. Thank you. Zesty, thank you for the bits. Let's see, let me scroll down here.
B, you're the best kind of odd. A literal shining star in our lives. This community is the best online ever, and it's all because of your special kind of weird.
Chipping, what do I want out of life? I mean, that's very difficult to explain because I don't fully know. I don't know if any of us fully know, because if you've ever noticed, there can be things that will like guide you throughout life. Let's say like when I was younger, I just wanted to be a nurse. And then once you get there, you realize like it never scratches the itch. Like we're always on a hunt for something. And I'm sure that there are some people who have found like they're just completely happy with life. And that's a beautiful thing, but I feel like that's what we're all struggling to get to. For what will complete me, I have no idea, but we're all basically like on a hunt for that, you know? Hater, with your rise to the fame and social media area, do you ever try to dispel wild rumors? No, I mean, to me, I don't particularly care. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do regardless, or say whatever's on my mind regardless, and that's either fine. Like, if people are saying things about me, it doesn't affect my view of myself, if that makes any sense. Like, because somebody says some outlandish thing about me.
Gravitational force, because I'm always finding myself being pulled towards you.
T3, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you.
And with that, I'm sad to have to leave, but I have to get to my game. Have a great rest of stream, and I'll see all of you guys tomorrow.
Zesty, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have fun playing D&D.
So
Thank you so much for stopping by.
A higher plan? The one reason you were put on the planet?
Pack, thank you for the bits. Let's see. Okay, Dream, thank you so much for the follow. Yeah, when it comes down to rumors and stuff like that, I feel like so many people say such stupid things on the internet. It doesn't affect my view of myself, and I feel like if other people would read something that's so outlandish and then believe it, it affects my view of their intelligence as well. So, I mean, I particularly don't mind when it comes to like handling the dirty side of like social media and so forth. I just don't really like dabble with it at all. I just kind of let people do their own thing, and I continue to be me.
Did you ever have a dream that got taken from you? Not like learning a certain field isn't for you, like with you wanting to be a doctor, more like a dream was taken off the table before you could go try for it?
Yes. Okay, so Pat, do you believe in a calling or a higher plan? the one reason that you're put on the planet, I feel like, is very uniquely human to be able to figure out what it is that you want to contribute to the world. Because some people don't do much for society as a whole. Some people, it's their entire life about doing something for the betterment of humanity. I mean, so I think it just kind of depends on, I guess the way that I see it, that you have your own ability to kind of come up with what you want to do, and I think that that can change, and things that happen within your life can set you on a different path. I don't believe that anything is like concrete and that you're set this way and this is the only way that you can be. I feel like there's multiple different things that happen that will split your path throughout life for you to, you know, decide that something else may be better for you. Maybe in another alternate reality, you know, you chose the other path. Insanity, yes. I guess I would say, like, kind of taking it off the table was, like, whenever I was younger, I thought for sure, like, I would have been in the military and so forth. But also, too, I felt like I couldn't live my dream because I knew that, like, you have to be realistic with the things that you are, right? Like, I may be very good with guns and shooting, but it doesn't mean that I'd always necessarily be like the best in combat. And then also too, it's kind of like I explained about, like, if you throw a woman into a combat situation, like, let's say like your group, you have like 10 guys and then it's just me. Just scientifically speaking, like, there's something within the mind that you're kind of inclined to help women and children, and that you maybe would mess up the mission or whatever you're supposed to be doing because you're trying to protect this individual, which should be able to protect themselves. You see what I mean? So I felt like there are some things that I couldn't do because I know my physical capabilities, and I know that I'm smart, but I know that I'm not strong. Like, I'm 5'2" and like 100 pounds, so I know that whenever it comes down to it, just like I say often, like, when people were asking me if I was gonna be like a fireman or something like that and like follow my dad's footsteps, I know I can't. I know that I can't. And people can push people through and say whatever they want to say, but it doesn't mean that you're capable of doing the job, even if it is your desire. You have to be realistic. If that makes sense. If that makes any sense at all, I guess. Hive, you get every person on your platoon killed trying to protect you. Yeah, and see, that's like what you have to try to avoid, right? Like, and I totally get that, 100%. But yeah, you have to, you have to understand what your pros and your cons are with a lot of things. Because, like, Houston has had this many times recently where they're like pushing people through the ranks and people are dying thinking that they are capable of maintaining a certain level of ability when in reality they are not capable of performing the job. And not only does it put themselves in danger, it puts a ton of other people in danger as well. You know, I guess if I'm understanding your question properly, I guess. I don't know. I still feel like this is so, I need to get this my webcam down a little more. Set goals for yourself. You can have the job if you can do the work. Yeah, if you can do the job, I'm all for you being able to do the job, but you must be able to do it. I feel that you actually care about women. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that a lot of times people will freak out and just be like, I can't believe, like, you're biased and that you're saying that, like, only men can do this job. And it's like, no, I'm not saying that only men can do that job. I'm saying you can be a female if you can do it. But what upsets me so much is that people will say, like, you have to do like 10 push-ups. My 10 push-ups are not as heavy as a guy's 10 push-ups.
I've met some very strong women who are your size and still can kick my butt in certain areas. Even before my injuries. But that was a good answer, B.I.W.S. and wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, and exactly. See, but that's what I mean too, Insanity. There are women who are far stronger than me. Far stronger.
B. I would fight anyone for you and win. Unless they were Russian or Albanian. In which case I would depend on my genetics. Throw you over my shoulder and run like hell, is that okay?
Girl, I'll give you cover fire. Yes, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, Insanity, there are women, that's exactly what I said too, because people will take pieces of what I say and then not understand the capacity of what I'm actually saying.
All I've ever wanted in life is to find someone who's not afraid to get their hands dirty with me, have the same interest and grow old and gray. And wants to play video games would be a plus too.
Yeah, it's hard to find people, Eric. It is definitely hard to find people, for sure. Thank you for the bits. Okay, so yeah, back to what I was saying about males versus females. There are women who can do these things. They're rarer than the men who can, just biologically speaking.
Sorry, I was throwing up, so I didn't hear all of it.
You were throwing up? What? Does I want to read it? No? Bretsu. To me, it's very straightforward. Gender doesn't matter. It only matters their ability to perform the job. Correct. If you need to be able to lift 200 pounds of dead weight, then you need to be able to do it. That's it. Exactly. 100%. Because I hate when people will take things and they'll make it like body weight. And it's like, my body weight is nothing. Like, it has no bearing on if I can pull a 200-pound male and full fire gear out of a burning building. There's no chance in hell. Are there women who can do it? Most definitely. Am I one of them? Absolutely not. And I'm not under any facade that I could ever be possible of doing something like that.
If we hit hype train level 5, will you stand up and give us a twirl so we can see your outfit and also buttocks? Hoo 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 poke poke pogo fway way.
I don't want to flash you guys. I gotta be careful here. Now that I have more of my screen showing, you guys can see my skirt.
Just waiting on you to get your degree in physics so you get the equation to time travel. That way you know you sent me back to find you and start the courting process to be your husband.
That would be pretty epic, wouldn't it, Wallace? That would be crazy. Crazy, crazy.
Does that mean I have to go on a diet before we go to Russia?
Man. Kuro, thank you so much for the bits. No diets. I'm not a diet proprietor anyways. I feel like food is such a huge portion of life. I feel like it would be a massive detriment to my life if I was on a diet. What's up, Dobby? How are you doing?
Where did you get your morals from? It's not normal in this society. Father, family, just how you're made, and you're not comfortable with the alternatives.
I don't fully know, Pac. For one, I feel like my family's ideals are a little different because my family is foreign. But secondly, I feel like you either are born with a capacity to look at your situation and to be able to understand it, or you're not.
You're not on a diet, you're on a dang food strike.
Insanity, thank you for the bits. Thank you. That is true. I mean, I am probably the worst when it comes down to like eating healthy and regular. I often forget to eat many times until I feel like I'm gonna pass out. But I feel like people are either capable of seeing like, and for instance, when I was a kid, I would look around at people and say like, this is how I want to be and this isn't how I want to be. And some people are capable of saying like, I saw the bad in so much and that I don't want to be like that and I will not be like that. Or other people, they'll have the mindset of like, oh, poor me, like all of the hands I've been given are bad hands and it's just like I'm a victim or something like that. So I feel like you're either one of the two capable of doing it, right? Like you're either gonna play the victim card and then just like roll over and let the world destroy you, or you're gonna look at it and say like, you know, is this the way that I want to be? Is this the way that I want to like look at myself? Because to me, like I think often, like some things that some of the people that I know have done, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night or like look at myself in the mirror over how they've acted. And so to me, I feel like that's something that's kind of like innately within you, because some people can do horrible things to people and then just be fine. And that's okay. But to me, it's like I try to hold myself to a standard that I am still proud of the actions and the decisions that I make. Now, it's not to say that I'm perfectly flawless. Of course not. I certainly mess up just like everybody else does. But I try to learn from the mistakes that I make so that I don't make them in the future. But it's within everybody's capabilities, I believe, if they're willing to see it, to say like this is,
in your opinion,
positive or negative.
What was Lovecraft's best piece? And is that different than your favorite piece of his?
Hater, thank you for the bits. Thank you. Kenneth, thank you for the bits.
Definitely
Double
better
thank
than
you for the
Scrubs
bits.
hype GG.
You better than my Scrubs? You think so?
What about physics do you like the most?
Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to Hater. What's my favorite piece by Lovecraft? I might actually need to sit and think about that and then get back to you about it, because there's a few that I feel like I want to say, but I also feel like it has been so long that I've read them that I don't even know if I'm remembering them properly, and for the reasons or the rationales that I could give you may be flawed, or I may be mixing them with others. So I'll have to think on that. But what I can say about Lovecraft is one of the things that I do love about him, which is basically prevalent throughout all of his works, are that there's always something that is beyond human comprehension. So let's say, for instance, like, regardless if you're religious or not, like if you believe in some all-knowing power, and if there was something to be that way, we are so incapable of understanding the gravity of that, right? So when I say, like, how do you know, like, what's good or what's evil, right? Like, basically society tells you that we all kind of like get together and we decide on these rules. But when it comes down to it, we are nothing in comparable to something that would be considered like truly all-knowing, like with Lovecraft.
B knows my weakness, a lady in a skirt. Past future me must have told you about it on our first date. Damn time travel.
Wallace, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Ass, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you being here. But yeah, I feel like I have always really enjoyed that type of mindset. And at one point, and I forget exactly what passage is from, but Lovecraft says that we're essentially floating on this raft in this endless ocean. And basically, humanity was never meant to stray far from the shore. Which essentially, like, the world is so vast and so complicated that we as humans, like, who do we even think that we are to be able to comprehend the laws of the universe, right? Like, and who am I to even say? Because obviously I'm curious about it being a physics student. But that's what I constantly have to tell myself, is that if there is some type of entity, if you do believe in God, if you are religious and so forth, that there is something that is beyond our human understanding. Let's see. Kenneth, like your outfit better than scrubs. I almost wore scrubs the other day. I had come home from the hospital before a stream, and I was like, maybe I'll just wear this. But then also, too, I was like, I don't want to get anything that could possibly be on my scrubs on my gaming chair. Double, what about physics do you like the most? The absurdity of it all, I guess I could say.
Fan or no?
Yes, of course. Pack, of course. You must be very well-read as well, from the things that you say, and then I guess reading Wuthering Heights as well. Yeah, but no, I'm a big fan. Big fan. For physics, Fear and Smoking, welcome to the stream. We're so happy to have you here.
God. Do you think he would pick a religion and condemn the rest to hell for believing a different version of the story?
Kuro, that's a good question. Thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you.
Do you think we'll ever hit the era of time travel? If not, then let me scratch your brain with this question then. What if dreams can be the portal to time, traveling to the past or to see one's future? Wouldn't actual time travel disrupt the...
Good question, good question. Fear and Smoking, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What was I just talking about? Okay, yeah, so what do I like about physics the most? Back when I was in medicine, back when I was, well, I guess I'm still currently a nurse, right? But back then, I would always think that, like, medicine was the epicoin of everything. Like, this is literally life and death, and I felt like a lot of my life, I felt things had already been discovered, so, like, I can't really contribute much to anything. And so as I got into medicine and I realized, like, just how little we actually know, it opened my eyes to see the world kind of like in a different way, and then I wanted to start answering these questions. But the more and more that I found out about physics, the more and more, like, the deeper into my degree that I got, my second degree, I realized, like, just how little we don't know, because there's things that we say as, like, these overarching statements. However, like, whenever you get down to the nitty-gritty of it all, it's like, well, yes, but also no. And so that would drive me crazy. Wolf, what's up? How are you doing? How's your week been? And so there is a bell curve that I talk about quite a bit as well, to where basically it's like, when you start off, you don't know anything and you kind of like are aware that you know nothing. And then as the curve goes up, then these people here at the top, let's say like a doctor, for instance, thinks that they know everything, when in reality they don't. And then the more and more you're educated, you start going back down and you realize, like, just how little you actually know. And so that's one of the big things about it, is because physics, specifically when you start getting down into like the quantum world,
I
is
know
so
you don't
bizarre.
go to bars, but it would be fun to go with you and PR, Zesty, Hive, and Hater to a trivia night.
I'm good for the scientific questions. Now, if it comes down to like movies and TV shows and that type of stuff, I suck at it. But yeah, to me, it's like I realized that there's just so little that we knew compared to me being a little girl and thinking that there was so much that we already knew that I couldn't even contribute to it. So to me, it's like I started to realize that there's so many things that we could do, which are such interesting contributions to like the field of medicine and physics together. I guess if that's any way that I could say it, but it's something too to where it's like there's something just like innately within me that continues to pull me towards physics, and I can't explain what it is or why. But like how I often say that we all have like our northern stars and so forth, it's like there's something that just progressively continues to pull me that way.
As a physicist and a Battlestar fan, do you believe in aliens? If so, do you believe they've visited us? And what do you think the government is doing at Area 51, and are you at all curious on what they're hiding?
I love how we went from like medical questions to like the more
That's the
physics
first time
questions.
Hive has been invited to something ever. I don't know trivia, but I can eat chowder real good.
Okay, Kuro. Let's say there is a god. Do you think he would pick a religion and condemn the rest to hell for believing in a different version of the story?
You guys take the smart questions, I'll handle the Star Wars trivia lol.
PR, thank you for the bits. Kuro, if I had to say, once again, like I am only capable of speaking from like my mortal rationality of understanding. To me, if I was some all-encompassing being, to me it wouldn't matter what religion somebody is, as long as I feel like morally they align to like the good side versus the bad side. But then also too, it's far more complex than that as well, because it's like, well, what if your life was in danger and you had no choice but to kill somebody else? Like, is murder inherently always bad? But what if they're trying to kill you or trying to kill your child or something like that? I mean, I don't think that anything would capable of just being like, yeah, you picked the wrong choice. Like something that is capable of that type of thought, I think would have a much larger grading scale than something over like, yeah, you just picked the wrong option, personally. But then again too, like who am I to even say, right? Because it would be so beyond my comprehension. Sin, do you think we'll ever hit the era of time travel? And if not, what if dreams can be a portal to time traveling to the past or to see one's future? When an actual time travel disrupt the balance of the world? I mean, that is an interesting concept. I don't think, I mean, once again, I can't definitively say that nothing is possible, right? I feel like in physics, it's like the biggest taboo you could ever say is to 100% say that's impossible. I don't see how a dream could be a portal into like that temporal dimension.
So would you say that an omnipotent being would judge you based on your own morales or rules you've made for yourself?
No, I wouldn't say that either. Back to what you're saying, Sin, is I think like whenever you talk like on a metaphysical level, that would be interesting. It would be very cool, and it's almost like an artistic view of dreams, which we don't even fully understand. But when it comes down to actually being able to, in a sense, go to the past or the future through a biological state, I do not believe medically or physically that would be the case. But once again, I can't 100% say no, but logically speaking, I would strongly think that that would be impossible. But also too, there are curious things that happen as well, right? Because I've had it to be too, where I dream about something and then it happens, which is odd and rare and curious. Do I have an explanation for it? No, of course not. But then just talking about like the laws that do govern our universe, I don't also see it possible of being able to transition to, once again, like the temporal dimension, because we function in 3 dimensions in our world here, and then 1 temporal, which is the 4th dimension, which is time. So I feel like that would be unfeasible, but of course, 2, cannot definitively say no. Ricochet, this is a Yowu Fox headset, Fox Spirit headset. The best headset I've ever had ever, and it's not sponsored. I love this. This is better than any headset that I have ever owned in my life ever. Highly recommend their products. Highly recommend it. Okay, let's see. What is the next thing?
In Christian, So I believe in the Judeo-Christian God, but I also don't think him any more correct than anyone else. How could I prove it? That's what faith is. Except Scientology. Das ist dumm.
B. Would you agree that our understanding of all things is limited by our way of thinking? Like we believe our understanding is the basis of how everything works, but we could be drastically wrong?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Okay, back to what Pac said as a physicist and a Battlestar fan. Do you believe in aliens? Do you also believe that they visited us? And do you think the government is doing an Area 51?
Do you believe in the afterlife or reincarnation? I think of the concept of souls meeting over and over till they meet their soulmate. But that is the romantic in me.
Wallace, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Let me answer this real quick, and then I'll get back to what you guys were asking. Do I believe in aliens? I feel like logically there's a high probability that, of course, that there has to be additional life in the universe. So I believe that they visited us. I would probably have to say no. There are certain things that I feel like we could have found that would be 100% like there's no way aliens, right? This must be alien technology. There's many very, very curious things, like especially whenever you go back to like these Native American cultures and so forth, and the things that they have been capable of doing. It's still insane, but is it enough proof for me? Personally, not. Is it a possibility? Of course it's a possibility. I've just never seen anything that just definitively, this must be like an alien technology. It is of course a possibility, but personally for our Earth, I would say I tend to lean against no, but I also would, can understand that other people will feel differently about that as well. What they're doing in Area 51, I have no idea, personally. I can't tell if Puddles is at the door. Okay. Let's see. Kuro, so would you say that an omnipotent being would judge you based on your own morals or rules you've created for yourself? I wouldn't say so. I feel like he would have some type of judgment scale that is, once again, like far beyond my comprehension. But then also too, I would like to think that if it was me, like I said, like I'll sit down and hear you out for anything. You could literally do the worst thing possible to me and I would still sit down and listen to you calmly. And that being said, like if you want to think about like the old school, like Egyptian way of like you being judged before you go to the afterlife, I feel like that would have to be something that would happen.
Do you keep in touch with any of your past teachers or mentors?
PR, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. I'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, I don't think it would be based on my scale. It would have to be based on theirs. But I think that everybody is a case-by-case basis as well. And I think I'm a very hard judge of myself, but I am a lot more lax when it comes to other people. And so I guess it would just depend on what they, deemed correct or not. But I would like to say that if I was ever to face like going into the afterlife, that I would be judged positively based on my actions.
So what do you believe in, B? I'm more of a person who believes in the stars and the universe.
Sin, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so that's basically what I want to say on that. Hi, I'm Christian, so I believe in the Judeo-Christian God, but I don't think I'm any more correct than anyone else. Yes. Yeah, and see, that's the thing too, is that I believe that there are so many different variations on ideals and mindsets to where it doesn't, even if you do believe in a different God, that doesn't make you any less human with your own emotions and your own pursuit of happiness and so forth. I don't think that anything should matter based on what you believe, as long as you're not damaging other people. Like, let's say if you have something, let's say you believe in Cthulhu, and then because Cthulhu demands it, you're gonna go out and like kill innocent people. I mean, at that point, you're you're trespassing on a boundary that I don't feel like you have the right to do. But then there's people also who believe in divine justice and so forth. Yeah, I think everybody can have their differing opinions and beliefs and views. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's what is so amazing about the world. Let's see, insanity.
But corn demands blood and skulls.
Insanity, thank you for the bits. Thank you. Muffin, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Tank, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Insanity, would you agree that our understanding of all things is limited by our way of thinking? Like, we believe our understanding is the basis of how everything works. We could be drastically wrong. That's always the way that it is. And that's the big thing too, like in medicine. Like, you may have a hypothesis, but you have to test it over and over and over to actually make it a theory, right? So what ends up happening quite often, I feel like, is we think that, like, theoretically, these are the ways that things could work, and then we end up testing it, and it's like, wow, this functions completely different than how we originally believed it to be. I mean, that's like the birth of string theory to begin with anyways, right? But yeah, there's always an option that we could be completely wrong. I mean, there are certain things that like govern our world and so forth, but yeah, whenever it comes down to, you know, the universe as a whole, we can be very incorrect about many, many things. But that's the thing too, is that, like I always say, like, always function under the notion that you don't have all of the pieces. You should always function that way, be it in science, be it in your personal relationships and so forth. None of us have all the pieces to definitively say anything, you know?
So how important is worldview or religion to you in your choice of a partner? I mean, if you believe in Cthulhu Catholic but they're a practicing Wiccan Satan worshipper but as a moral guy, is his faith important to you?
That's an interesting question. Let's see. Wallace, do you believe in the afterlife or reincarnation? I wouldn't say reincarnation in the sense of pure reincarnation, like my soul will be the same soul, just in a different body or something like that. Now, whenever it comes down, like, this is one thing that actually helped me grieve the loss of my grandmother as well, that in a sense, you are never truly gone. Like, the atoms that make you continue to exist within the world, which is a very beautiful thing. It's just no longer sentient to the point to where it's still you and your personality. But I don't personally believe in reincarnation and so forth. Now, when it comes down to an afterlife, that's kind of like going onto the level of religion versus also, like, which is constantly in a battle with me within, like, physical sciences and so forth, like in physics. I wish I could discuss that a little more, but I feel like that would have to be like a whole dedication on, like, religion and so forth. PR is my favorite teacher. I have to ask, do you keep in touch with any of your past teachers or your mentors? To a degree, I have to for, like, research and so forth. Because, like, once you're in a specific department, you're kind of, like, always in that department, you know, until you get your degree and stuff like that. And then even, like, whenever you get, like, you're working on your PhD, like, you still have your mentor that kind of, like, is guiding you throughout your PhD. So, yeah, I would say I don't think you can get away from that. Since, what do you believe in? I'm more of a person who believes in the stars and the universe. That's kind of leading in again
Wuthering
to
Heights. What are the top 3 books you believe everyone should read at least once? Skip it if you want, but don't you think that physics is an attempt to discover the blueprint of a god if there is one?
Kuro, thank you for the bits. Thank you. Yeah, Sin, that's a very difficult thing for me to explain, I think. I think we'd have to go into more so, like, religion and everything, and then, because I feel like if I try to go into it now, you wouldn't have enough of a basis to understand, like, my rationale, and then it'll just, like, fall short of an answer. But one day, I will discuss it, and we'll go into it. Alpha, thank you so much for being a sub for 19 months. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you. Pax, so is it important worldview or religion to you in your choice of a partner? I mean, if you believe in Cthulhu, Catholic, but they're practicing Wiccan, Satan worshiper, but is a moral guy, is faith important to you? I mean, to me personally, no. I don't really care if you're religious or not religious or come from a different religion. As long as you are a good person and, like, personality-wise we mesh, I don't particularly care whether somebody is religious or not, or maintains the same religion, to me, personally. Hater outside Wuthering Heights, what are your top 3 books you believe everyone should read at least once? I don't think Wuthering Heights is for everybody, first off. That is, like, one of the most iconic, like, gothic literature books out there.
Religion is a great topic. No one ever gets mad at those talks. Well, I mean, those ignorant stupid heathen atheists do, but they don't believe in God, so their opinions don't even matter. Am I right?
Yeah, when it comes down to Wuthering Heights, specifically like the first time you read it, it's very like scattered and like all out there. So it's hard to read. Like the first time that I read it, I was like, what am I even reading? It's just odd. But I feel like the premise of it, it's a beautiful book and I love it. It's my favorite. But when it comes down to like the morals of the book, I feel like there's other ones that can be a little more valid to the world. I think Crime and Punishment is a wonderful book to read. All of his work is amazing. I feel like we've talked about The Count of Monte Cristo here many times. I think that is a very valid book that a lot of people like to read. And even if you're not really that big into books or like delving deep into them, I feel like both of those can kind of like alter your worldview based on the way that the books play out. The third, that's kind of, I want to say maybe, I don't know. See, I kind of want to say Brave New World, but that was also a very weird book for when I first read it. I was kind of like uncomfortable with reading it. But I feel like I could probably put some books together that would probably be a little better than those, maybe. But I feel like there are some books that everybody should read at least once. Because then too, it's like I think of like Great Expectations and how much I enjoyed that book too. But then also if I think about like it being applicable to somebody's life, not so much. You know? I guess I could say that for right now though. Maine, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Magic, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kuro, don't you think that physics is an attempt to discover the blueprint of a god, if there is one? Yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
I just have to say, B, you were right. We didn't need to plan any softball questions for you. You're killing this. Just chat. Antisera Flex, Antisera Spirit Bomb, cheer 1000.
PR, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. It's not so much the topics, it's just like I wanted this to look better, and it's just kind of like I'm saying, like I said a lot beforehand. I feel like I'm like constantly, you guys are like looking down on me.
Brave New World. That's the Cylon in you pushing that.
And I feel like, you know, like here you see my face better, like straight on, right? So other than that, I'm like typically like this, and I don't know, I just feel like the angling is kind of weird. But that's the only thing I feel like is just, I need to figure out for these just chatting things, but I feel like I'm pretty good when it comes down to conversation. So yeah, are we trying to find like God's blueprint with physics? Yes, I mean, it's those type of people who are curious about the world and want the answers about the world. And you can certainly say that even if you're not religious, are we trying to find like God's design? Because it's like an overarching, I guess, premise that we're all kind of trying to figure out in a sense. We're all trying to figure out like the rules which govern our lives. And that can even be true of like chem or biology or what have you. Like there's very interesting things that it's like almost nature stops us from doing. So it's like if you start to alter DNA or something like that, we always have repercussions for that, but why?
You should check out The Incarnations of Immortality. The books are about the offices of death, Father Time, War, Mother Nature, the Fates, God, and the Devil.
That sounds awesome. I've never heard of that before. That's very, very interesting. That actually just reminded me of something too. Like there was a major takeaway from whenever humans as a whole began to look into science versus saying like the gods are angry with us.
I lurk when we have big group convos like this, but a little birdie with a gigantic peepee told me Ratu was actually playing Elden Ring. SMH wow Ratu wow.
Hi, thank you for the donation.
Like
thank you. Myro, thank you so much for being a tier 3 sub for 17 months. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Insanity, thank you for the bits. Bacon, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Look like a lurker. I know, it's odd, right?
Like a lurker. Yummy face.
Yeah, but whenever humanity as a whole began to look into more so like science instead of being like we have some divine reason for why these things are happening.
If we ever looked down
like
on you,
thunder.
it would only be to help you up. Still waiting on that skirt twirl. Winking face.
Wallace, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's see. Am I missing anything? I don't think so.
What Wallace is talking
Let's
about
see.
is basically the Tim Allen Santa movies but with Death Time War and such. I've actually started reading them. And I don't read.
Huh. I'll need to look into it then. For sure, because I've never heard of those before. Yeah, but I'll have to look into it.
Sort of like how Maxwell's equations are the overarching fundamental model for classical electricity and magnetism. I have more E and M puns for you if you play your cards right.
Moscow, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. PR, thank you so much for the 20 gifted subs. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, PR. That is so sweet of you. Thank you so much.
TMI.twitch.tvUSERNOTICE #Bianca Antisera.
It always does that when it's like, it seems like 20 subs and above will say my URL for some reason. I don't know why.
TMI.twitch.tvUSERNOTICE #Bianca Antisera.
Yeah, I haven't fully figured out why it does that. Oh, it did it 3 times. Huh. Curious. Curious. DX, have you read The Art of War? Yeah, by Sun Tzu. That's a really interesting book, though. I like in the opening of the book, it talks about how like there's this general, I don't know exactly what his level was within the military, but he was basically like he could make like an army out of anybody, and so he took like the guy's like head consorts or whatever, like all these women.
TMI.twitch.tvUSERNOTICE #Bianca Antisera.
And so basically he was like teaching them how to march and like how to move and stuff like that, like within a military formation. And so he's like, no, it's super easy. And he was just like beheading women that like didn't listen to what he said. It's pretty crazy. Interesting book.
So if our technology was viewed centuries ago, it would appear as magic. Do you think there are some metaphysical or religious phenomena that exist that currently just can't be explained with existing knowledge? Like telekinetics or...
Pack, thank you for the bits.
I've been enjoying
thank you,
the
thank
stream
you.
so far, talking about all different type of topics. You're doing amazing. Keep it going, please. Bleed purple, bleed purple, bleed purple.
It's almost been 2 hours, so it's almost gonna be the end of the stream. But I might do another just chatting stream tomorrow. We'll have to see. But thank you, Mesa. Pack, so if our technology was viewed centuries ago, it would appear as magic. Yes, it would. Do you think there are some metaphysical... Eddie, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you think there's some metaphysical or religious phenomena that exists currently that can't be explained?
I made over a gallon and a half of syrup today. But my big question has always been who found out about it. My guess is it was a cooking accident after boiling something.
Eric, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you. What do you mean by your big question of who found out about it? That you made syrup?
These really need to be at least once a month streams. Preferably once a week, but this just chatting is so much fun.
Yeah, maybe. That might be a good thing to do. We can do like 1 a week or something like that. Retsu, thank you so much for the gifted subs. Thank you, Retsu. Thank you. PR, thank you for the bits. I really appreciate you. Yeah, there's definitely things that we don't have the ability of explaining, by far. Hater, thank you so... Thank you for hitting the sub goal, Hater. Thank you. Thank you
so I have
so
one
much.
Season left on BSG. You and Hive were right, I'm loving it. What other suggestions can you give us next?
My second suggestion would probably be Twin Peaks, which is not for everybody, but I absolutely love it. It came out a long time ago, but I like literally everything in that show means something, which is freaking awesome to me. It's not like, it's very different than Battlestar, but I really, really enjoy it. I love Twin Peaks. Yeah, so like things that appear like magic and so forth, of course, there's many things that we can't explain currently. And then I'm sure in the future, we're gonna look back and have like an answer for it all. But to us currently, it's just like completely unexplainable. And there's many things that are within the world even now that we can't explain. And it's another thing too about how everybody asks about like aliens and so forth. There's many things that we can't explain. The explanation very well could be aliens. I personally don't follow that narrative, but it's still a valid possibility. Who knows? You know, I can't definitively say yes or no.
I will send you those books. Oh, I am so pumped now. I hope you enjoy them. That and one other gift as an inside joke.
Is it a tail? I'm excited to read them though.
Antisera 1, Antisera 2, Antisera 3,
Can take them on my
Antisera 4
travels.
Heights GG.
Kenneth, thank you so much for being a sub for 9 months. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sandal, thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. Did I miss a question? Yeah, okay, so Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is like the super old show. I say super old. It came out a while ago. But it's like, it plays as like a traditional old kind of like mystery show. But everything in that show means something. And it starts getting really weird, like really, really fast. I really, really enjoy it. I think sometimes people who watch like the first 3 episodes would be like, what the hell are you having me watch? But I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Eddie, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. Double Twin Peaks. I don't particularly like season 3 of Twin Peaks. You may just want to do like the first 2 seasons and then just not even bother with the 3rd season. But I am a huge Twin Peaks fan. Huge Twin Peaks fan. Banto, quantum physics may open up a whole new can of worms, but may answer our hardest questions. Very true. And it's absolutely maddening. Maddening. Oh, you know what, PR? Have you ever watched Lost? It used to be like everywhere back in the day. You may want to watch Lost before you watch Twin Peaks. That may be something that's more, you may enjoy a little better. Twin Peaks is slower by far. It is slower, but Lost is a very, very good show. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I'm getting tired. Oh my god. Great show. Lost is a mind trip. Yeah, and there's like a lot of things too that you just kind of have to like accept it as like it's magic, you know? If you take the time to watch Lost, it started when G4 ran it start to finish. I love it. I love Lost. Very, very cool. I love the little physicist Faraday. I was like, I knew he was gonna do something crazy when they named him Faraday.
So B, I have a real hard-hitting question. Are you ready? What lipstick do you wear?
That was so awkward, hater. Thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I swear, that was probably like one of the most awkward situations I've ever found myself in. And it wasn't even just like inherently awkward. It was just like, what could I have possibly have done?
You are starting to know me. Didn't miss a beat with that response. I am impressed.
Wallace, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Okay, well, this is gonna be the end of the stream. I can't stop yawning. I'm sorry. I also haven't eaten today.
B, what I mean is I can't
mystery.
figure out what would make someone want to drink or boil water from a tree, which would lead to the discovery of maple syrup by means of boiling food, and you'd have syrup left over.
Yeah, but it's very interesting what people have come up with throughout the years, cooking-wise. It's almost like chemistry, you know what I mean? Sin, thank you so much for the bits. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. PR, thank you for the bits.
I saw Lost after it aired and had the ending ruined for me just before I saw the last episode.
What? No, who would do that to you?
B, go
That
get
sucks.
you some food, you crazy fool.
Insanity, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bretsu, thank you for the bits.
Go eat. It was a great stream seeing how much everyone is enjoying it. Thank you so much for this, B.
Go play Elden Ring, Retsu. I'm kidding, I'm just picking on you. Thank you for the bits. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for everybody being here. You guys are absolutely amazing. I know that it still looks kind of awkward and it's a super weird angle, but...
Why is wisdom teeth called wisdom teeth if they don't bring any wisdom? Way.
Messa, thank you for the donation. I like to think that they're called wisdom teeth because you just get them like later in life, you know? Sir Death, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate you. So yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get back into not Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts tomorrow, or if I'll do another Just Chatting. I have no idea. I still just want to figure this out. So once again, thank you guys for being here. I know that it's still kind of awkward.
Or Elden Ring tonight, B.
Final Fantasy. I have to get further in MSQ for sure. But yeah, I know that it's still kind of like awkward, but I'm gonna figure it out one way or the other. I shall figure it out, but I love you guys so much. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you tomorrow. Oh, Kuro, I'll let your donation play.
B, tell me where we are going next in FF if we aren't playing tomorrow.
Kuro, thank you for the bits. Thank you. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow.